Hello, hello. Let's get started on math for today. You are going to need your math journal, a pencil, and the math notebook or stack of paper that you're using for math warm-ups. As soon as you get those three things, your journal, your pencil, and your notebook, we can get started. Our math warm-up today is all about fact families, and you're really good at fact families, so this should be pretty easy. Open up your notebook to the next clean page, and then please put the numbers 2, 6, and 8 up there at the top. 2, 6, and 8. Then your job is to write 4 number sentences that go along with those numbers. So you're going to make a fact family. 2 of the number sentences will have plus signs. 2 of the number sentences will have minus signs. I made a little mistake down here on this last one. It should just have a minus sign there instead of an equal sign in the middle. So you're going to use those 3 numbers, 2, 6, and 8, to write 2 addition and 2 subtraction sentences. Do that right now. Your next job is to use the numbers 3, 6, and 9 to write 4 number sentences. 3, 6, and 9. So again, you're going to write 2 addition and 2 subtraction sentences that use the numbers 3, 6, and 9. Remember, the biggest number always goes at the end of your addition sentences, that's the sum, and at the beginning of your subtraction sentences because it's the biggest number. If you still have room on that page, go ahead and continue on that page. If you don't have room, like I ran out of room, you can use the next page. You're going to write the numbers 5, 9, and 14 up at the top. And again, you're going to write 4 number sentences, 2 addition and 2 subtraction sentences that make up the fact family for 5, 9, and 14. That's my birdie. He's chirping a lot today. All right, after you are finished with that math warm-up, you can turn to the next clean page in your math notebook because we're going to do a little bit of drawing here after our warm-up. Today, we're going to do a little bit of review. So that means we're going to think about things that we've already learned. And yesterday we talked about shape attributes. Remember that big word, attributes? We said that shapes have ways that make them the same and different as other shapes. Shapes might have the same name, but maybe they're different colors, or shapes having 4 sides, that's one of their attributes, or 4 corners is one of their attributes. So we talked about shape attributes, and you drew some shapes that you found in your house. Today, I'm going to ask you to draw some shapes on your notebook. So go ahead and get out your pencil and draw a circle on your notebook. It can be big or small, doesn't matter. And somewhere else on that page, draw a square. Remember, a square has 4 sides that are exactly the same. So try your best to draw 4 sides that do not have different lengths. They're all exactly the same. Somewhere else on your page, draw a triangle. Somewhere else on your page, draw a rectangle. Your rectangle can be up and down or lying on the ground like mine is. Somewhere else on the page, can you draw a rhombus? A rhombus is like a diamond. And so again, we want to make sure that the sides are not all different lengths because that wouldn't make it a rhombus. But a rhombus is kind of like you took two triangles and smushed them together. So you're going to draw that somewhere on the page. Okay, that's all the shapes we're going to draw today. Now, your job on these shapes is to draw lines that would make these shapes be divided in half. Now, there's a lot of ways you can do that. For example, on a circle, you could draw a line. I'm going to use a different colored marker here so you can see different examples. You could draw a line that goes straight up and down. You could draw a line that goes side to side. You could draw a line that is diagonal across the circle. For a shape like a circle, there's a lot of different ways you can divide it in half. But go ahead and divide that shape in half however you want to do that. But remember, when you are cutting a shape in half, and I say cutting like this because we're not actually cutting it, right? We're just dividing it with a line, almost like we're cutting it with scissors. When you are dividing a shape in half, you have to make sure that both sides are exactly equal. So if I said, oh, look at my square, I cut it in half, or I divided it in half. Well, no, I didn't really. I drew a line, but I did not make sure that both sides of that shape are exactly the same size. I have to make sure that any line that I draw to divide my shape makes both sides exactly the same. Exactly, so pay attention to that, please. Go ahead and draw lines across all of your shapes to divide them in half. And again, there's a lot of different ways you can draw the lines to do this, so don't worry about it exactly like me. Here are my examples of how I drew lines to divide the shapes in half. I crossed out that square because I didn't draw it in pencil, so I can't erase it, and that is not an example of dividing shapes in half. Okay, so we practiced drawing lines to divide these shapes in half just now because later on in this unit, we are going to be talking about fractions. Fractions are when we talk about parts of a whole. So that means if I have a whole circle and I divide it up into parts, I can tell you what fraction I have colored and what fraction I haven't colored. We'll get to that at a later lesson. This activity was just a little bit of preview for talking about fractions, which I said will happen much later. The next thing we're going to do is move on to our math journal. We have a page of story problems in our math journal. So if you could please turn to page 145. And on page 145, we are going to be writing number models or number sentences to solve these number stories that our math journal gives us. So let me read to you the story problem and then you can answer it on your own. Number 1 says, Frank grew 7 red flowers. He grew 5 more flowers. How many flowers did he grow in all? Frank grew 7 red flowers. He grew 5 more flowers. How many flowers did he grow in all? Remember, you're going to write a number model here. That's a number sentence that talks about the numbers that were in that story. And then you're also going to answer the question right here. Pause the video if you need some more time to do this. Number 2 says, Clark planted 18 seeds. Ashley planted 15 seeds. Who planted more seeds? How many more? And then you're going to write a number model. Clark planted 18 seeds. Ashley planted 15 seeds. Who planted more seeds? So first of all, you have to tell who planted more seeds. Was it Clark or Ashley? Clark planted 18 seeds, which is more than 15. So we'll put Clark's name on the line there to tell that he planted more seeds. How many more seeds did he plant? Remember, a great way to solve this problem is to draw a picture. When we solve problems like this, when we say, who had more? How many more did they have? That's when we draw the kind of picture where we line up the circles and we draw lines to connect the ones that are the same. Now, I made a mistake on mine and I had to end up crossing out a couple at the end because I just put too many. I was going too fast. I would recommend that you don't do that. Your job would be to write 18 circles at the top, 15 circles at the bottom, and then connect the ones that match up. You're going to put a box around the ones that are left over in the end. That will tell you how many more seeds Clark had than Ashley. For our number model, there's two different ways that you could write down a number model to go along with this number sentence, or to go along with this number story. So one of the ways is to use subtraction. I said 18 minus 15. That will tell me how many more Ashley had. Another way would be to use an addition sentence. I can think addition to solve the subtraction problem. So that would be, I could say 15 plus what equals 18. Your job is to fill in those missing numbers. I'm not going to tell you what 15 plus what is 18. I'm not going to tell you what that missing number is. Pause the video if you need a moment to figure out what the answer could be. Number 3 says, in the garden, there are 6 green peppers, 7 yellow squash, and 4 yellow peppers. How many vegetables are in the garden? I heard 3 numbers just then in that story problem. So it sounds like we're going to have a number sentence with 3 add-ins in the number sentence. Let me read it again. In the garden, there are 6 green peppers, 7 yellow squash, and 4 yellow peppers. How many vegetables are in the garden? So you're going to write down how many vegetables there are, and what was that number model or number sentence that you used to go solve that problem. Number 4 says, for problem 3, Dan first found the number of peppers. Then he added the number of squash. Pam first found the number of yellow vegetables. Then she added the number of green vegetables. Do both ways get the same answer? Which is faster for you? So they're saying there were 2 kids in some other first grade class somewhere. Their names were Dan and Pam. They solved problem number 3 2 different ways. We're going to figure out if both ways would get the same answer. So Dan first found the number of peppers, and I remember reading that there were 6 green peppers and 4 yellow peppers. 6 plus 4 is 10. Then he found the number of squash, and it tells us right here that the number of squash is 7. So if I had 6 plus 4 was 10, and then I add 7, what do I get? 17. Let's see how Pam did it. Pam first found the number of yellow vegetables. So I see that she found 7 yellow squash and 4 yellow peppers. 7 plus 4. That's a fact I don't have memorized, so I'll have to count it out. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 7 plus 4 is 11. And then she added the number of green vegetables. And I see that there is only one kind of green vegetable, and it's peppers, and there are 6 of them. So 11 plus 6 is what I'm trying to solve. 11 plus 6, that would be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 11 plus 6 is 17. Do both ways get the same answer? Well, it sure looks to me like I have the same answer 2 times over here. So the answer is yes, they do. Then it says, which is faster for you? So that might be different depending on who you are. For me, it was faster to solve it Dan's way because I first added 6 plus 4. And I know what 6 plus 4 is right away because I have my 10 facts memorized. I easily know facts or numbers that go together to make 10. So because I had to make 10 in Dan's way of solving, that was faster for me because I have those facts memorized. If you noticed, for the way Pam did it, I had to use my fingers to count 2 different times, so it was just a little slower for me. Maybe Pam's way was faster for you. Either one is fine. They just want to know which one was faster for you. I'm going to write down Dan's way was faster for me. Because like I just explained to you, making 10 was easier for me to do than the other one. So you should have 2 answers for number 4. Answering, do both methods give you the same answer? And which way was faster for you? Now, after you are done with that page 145 in your math journal, then you are done with math for today. Next week is spring break. You don't have any math lessons or math assignments for next week. Your only job next week is to be getting ready for Easter and the big celebration of Jesus' resurrection. So I will see you back here on Monday, April 13th. That's the day after Easter, to do another math lesson, and we'll pick up right where we left off. Have a great spring break. Bye.